I
I identify however you want and fucking let me see. Start this fucking timer. It's all you, baby.
Cool. So my name is Dave, and I'm an alcoholic. My vice of choice, for the most part was vodka. Um, that's what ultimately led to my real downfall repeatedly. But to begin, I guess I had a normal childhood, at least by most standards. I didn't think I did at the time just because I was a Navy brat and um, moved around a little bit. My biological father left or was booted out of the house at an age I don't remember. I remember meeting him one time when I was 6, and he was an asshole. And I think I held those resentments for a long time. Um, and, thinking back on it, as a child now, I realize just how attention starved I probably was. Um, Always trying to fit in, um, being the class clown or, doing some dumb shit, constantly getting, constantly injuring myself. But apparently, my babysitter gave me a cigarette when I was 6. So I guess that's the start. Won't count that. Um, my first experiment with weed was when I was 10 or 11. I don't think I got high, but I was 10 or 11 when I took a puff off a joint from the older kids because I was in California by this time. Um, and then, you know, I had good parents. They weren't, you know, what I needed at the time, but they were good parents. They provided, and I never felt like I was ever going to go hungry or abused or anything like that. But I definitely had some daddy issues, I guess. Um, but I had to grow up real quick. My sister was 8 years younger than me. My brother was 10 years younger than me. And in 1991, my mom was in the Naval Reserve. She got called up for the Kuwait War. Um, she wound up doing like a year and 9 months in Whidbey Island to fill in for the people that actually went to war. So now it's my dad, who's my stepdad, but he's my dad. And we might talk about that dynamic a little bit. But uh, so now it's just me and my dad, my 3-year-old, 4-year-old sister, and my 1-year-old brother, 2-year-old brother. So I gotta come. I gotta get them ready before school. I gotta come home after school, um, babysit, and you know, on top of all my stuff, right? So, and around that age is when I'm starting to, you know, mature. So now, not only am I getting my normal allowance of $25 a week, I'm getting $25 on top of that because, you know, I was performing extra duties, right? So every Friday, Saturday night, I go hang out with the guys, and I still wasn't getting high or drinking yet. I was just enjoying having a little bit of money and, being able to hang out with the cool kids, right? Um, I remember my first drink was probably in the 7th grade, but that was just like a one-time test on the way to school, kind of thing. And oddly enough, my real introduction to drugs was um, because of steroids. Was on the football team. A lot of the dudes around me were a lot bigger than me, and I wanted to get some steroids because I knew one of the non-football player guys that could get them. And it was $300 or something for a cycle back then. It's not like I could just go, Mom, Dad, can I get $300? So I started selling weed. I'd buy dime sacks, sell them for 20. You know, I'd buy, sheets of acid, sell them, just to start making money so I can get some steroids for football. One thing led to another. Now I like the money. I like the partying. Every time I sold a dub sack, I'd buy some Swisher Sweets and a 40 ouncer. You know what I mean? Well, this was early 90s California, and it wasn't long before you know, the less hard stuff became real hard, right? I was getting 8 balls of meth at this point for $80. I remember my first time I smoked meth, and it was just like, this is the most amazing thing in the world. I actually really was more addicted to the big clouds at first because I just thought it was cool. But after that, it was off to the races. I remember a buddy of mine, like the next day, even he was like, "Man, I heard you was like a dope fiend on that," and I'm like, "I ain't no dope fiend, right?" Because I'm like, That's the first time I ever tried it. How am I a dope fiend?" Oh, I was a dope fiend. I was loving that, but with meth, it takes so long for you to become physically addicted because the tiniest bit, you're set for a couple days, right? You know, um, but just like with anything, that happened real fast, and I'm staying up all night, um, missing class in the morning, sleeping in the morning, and I didn't graduate on time. I had a couple run-ins with the law over peddling bullshit. One time, just graffiti or petty theft. But as that addiction spiraled, this is right about when desktops and personal computers were coming out. Tweaker buddy of mine was like, "Let's go steal some, or let's go look at your neighbor's house, see what's in it." We were just gonna go scope it out, and then I wound up stealing a whole bunch of shit. Um, but a couple of days later, I mean, they all knew it was me. They just couldn't prove it. But a couple of days later, my Naval Criminal Intelligence Service father found some evidence because he's good at his job and promptly turned me in. So I'm well into my addiction at this point. California court system is a mess. I don't know when I'm going to court. I wind up going to rehab for meth. I do 10 days. I get kicked out because I didn't take kindly to the way they ran the thing and might have choked another person or not. Got booted out because I was under the impression, if I'm in rehab, I don't have to go to court, right? Because court was coming up. I got kicked out 2 days before that. And at the same time, my parents are moving yet again. We stayed in California for 10 years, but they're moving yet again shortly after I didn't graduate on time. They're moving out here to the East Coast of DC. So we'll go to court and plea it down because they know I'm just going to bounce. Otherwise, give me 3 months for a third-degree burglary felony. But I was only 17 when it happened, blah, blah, blah. Last time I did meth, I was actually in jail, right? So I move out to the East Coast and I'm like, cool, kick meth. Let's get a job at Home Depot, start thinking about a career and, advancing life. And great. That was, last time I did meth. I got myself, in a position to be successful. But with, again, a new place, I'm trying to fit in. I'm partying every other way, right? Because I'm still young. I mean, I just turned, I was 18 and a half. So I'm out here at 19, 18 and a half, 19, and looking for new friends, right? Through a 6-day party, became instant hit. Went to jail a couple of times for drunk public over that, but it wasn't long before I got my first DUI at 20, which back then it was a baby DUI. They call it driving after illegally consuming alcohol because I wasn't even able to drink then, right? So that was a 1996 slap on the wrist. Um, got my own place with my ex-wife shortly after that, um, and shortly after that, got my first real DUI when I was 21. Um, got some driving on suspendeds in there. I just couldn't stay out of the system. Um, but at this point, I'm still not, you know, a real a real alcoholic, right? That was so far from my mind at that time that every time I had to go to an AA meeting or, you know, had to do something for the judge's signature, that's all it was for the judge's signature. I didn't stop drinking. I would stop smoking weed if I got tested because I could do that, but I wasn't stopping drinking because they didn't have anything back in those days to really figure it out, right? Um, I don't know. I don't know how long it was before I got my next one. Um, but in between there, I think I went about 8 years without getting busted, at least, because, I was doing the married thing and really not drinking and partying, right? Um, and we would, wife and I would have a glass of wine here and there, but just nothing like the young days and nothing like my upcoming days, right? Um, around 27, got divorced from my wife, and I missed my entire 20s of partying, so I had to make up for it, right? Um, and I think it was 2008, maybe a year after, 2 years after my divorce, where got another DUI. Um, no, I'm sorry, I missed a DUI where I crashed with my ex-wife in the car, and I still can't figure out if I did that on purpose because I was mad at her and she hit me in the head with the heel of her dance shoes, or forgot about that one for a minute. Um, to, um, so yeah, it continued on like that every couple of years. I'd get another DUI. You know, I've basically everything just kept repeating itself and getting worse and worse, until I just stopped driving. Right? I can't get any DUIs if I don't drive, because that'll fix it, right? We know how that works. Um, didn't have a car for a while, so that was fine. But I went a good while without another DUI, just because Uber came out and you know helped continue me not being in trouble, so I didn't have a problem, right? Even though the entire time I'm cheating on girls, I'm still might get a drunk in public. I still am just a complete douchebag, and I couldn't figure out why for the longest time. But so it continued on like that. Finally, got myself out of trouble with Johnny Law, and all the other times where I was under compulsion to go to AA or get treatment, or my mom or my dad or my girlfriend, whatever, saying, "Hey, you need help," I was no, because my idea of an alcoholic was still not there, because at 19, 20 years old, my idea of an alcoholic was, and I don't know if you've ever seen Leaving Las Vegas, but that was my idea of an alcoholic. Ah, I'm not that bad. I ain't that bad. Nah, I'll never get like that, because at the same time, I am progressing. I bought my first house at 24. I was out of my parents' house at 19, bought my first house at 24. I'm successfully moving up the ladder in the IT world, doing the the Washington D.C. Beltway bandit contractor thing. So life is good, making good money. Every once in a while, I got to spend some of that to get myself out of trouble. Didn't have a problem though, right? Wasn't unmanageable. I managed just fine. Look at me. I got a house. I got a girlfriend. I got a dog. I got responsibilities and shit. you know, um, until, as it does, catches up again. Um, but no, I in 2017 I decided I'm turning 40. My gift to me is going to go to rehab. So I went to this fancy schmancy rehab where I brought my dog. I got served steak and eggs every morning if I wanted it. I got a massage every day or was laying by the pool, along with a bunch of group therapy and really good stuff. Really good stuff. It's just when it's more like a destination vacation, you know what I mean, and not a rehab, it's more like a retreat without the alcohol, right? It did its job. Don't get me wrong, it did its job. It got me away from the substance, and I'll be forever grateful for that. But it didn't give me anything except for a shot in the leg of Vivitrol for long term care. Um, but I stayed sober about 7 or 8 months. Met my new wife, and really wanted to have and had a reason now to change because going into rehab, I wasn't actively trying to kill myself by drinking. I just knew that I didn't give a fuck because who cares, right? Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, bottle of vodka. I don't got nobody to answer to, nothing to do. Who cares, right? But after that clearing of the head and finding my wife and, you know, her getting pregnant, everything started to change. But right after she got pregnant, I started drinking again. I mean, I ran to the 7-Eleven probably 5 times, in the 36 hours waiting at the hospital is right across the street. Um, so COVID hits. I'm full on got a problem. Wife is pissed, you know, because I keep doing what I do. I go out, I drink, and I talk to people, and then I leave her at home, or or she can't find me, or I'm not picking up, and I'm a mess. What am I, jail? You know, worrying her, and then so I'm like, all right, babe, I'm gonna real quit this time. I'm gonna take Antabuse, right? And I did. And the shady doctor I got it from, the shady pharmacist I got it from, I'm pretty sure is a placebo because I figured out that I could drink on it after about 2.5 months of being sober. And uh, that was the blow up. Not the blow up, I don't want to say, but that was the first turning point, the first real turning point after, uh, just taking the pills to, I can't drink. I'm taking these pills, babe. I'm still not wanting to stop drinking myself. And that's when I started the Watson Fit program. I had a 4-day bender. I didn't do anything particularly wrong, get in trouble, but wife wasn't happy. And another, I'm going to change. And that actually really did start some change. And I was, 205-pound drunk at that point. Saw some pictures of me that were not very flattering. I'm like, at the same time, getting argued or bitched at by the wife. Boom. So I had one relapse within the next 4 months, but I dropped 45 pounds, completely changed my lifestyle around, really had motivation to, find my purpose and do what I needed to do. Right. Um, and then we bought this new house, and almost at the same time it was my transformation. And my mentor posted me, had my head all blown up, and I didn't realize at the time that was a test, because I remember December buying my Escalade, sitting out front smoking a cigarette, going, this is it. This is everything I've ever fucking wanted in life. I've got it all right now. I've got a wife, a son, a real house, an investment property, a sizable 401k, a six-figure job. Uh, you know, she's got the little, get around Benz. I got my big boy Escalade that I always wanted, right? I mean, if I asked for anything else, I'd be a greedy bastard, right? Um, sure, I could use a jet ski, maybe a boat down the line, but I'm good. I could literally just sat on cruise control for the rest of my life. And that was the test, and I failed miserably. I wound up in a 3-month relapse, or a 3-week relapse. That got me arrested 4 different times. It got me a felony malicious wounding charge, albeit wrong, against my tenant. That's quite a story in itself, but we can save that one for later. So that ended me up in detox, rehab, and IOP, and my company was behind me. They said, go to FMLA. I had actually tried to go to rehab or detox the day before one of the arrests, the malicious wounding, and so they were like, "Yeah, don't worry, you're covered, FMLA." And then I go to jail and then detox and rehab, and it was like, "Ooh, they didn't know anything, right? Cool, FMLA." Um, and I get out and I'm ready to rock. I'm feeling great again, even though it was just that couple week relapse, and let's go. It's easy to stay sober in rehab. Day I get out, get home. I mean, company calls. It's HR. We need to see a copy of the police report before you can come back. I was gung ho, ready to go. And now it's instant anxiety. Oh, fuck, they're going to fire me. Right? How am I going to? I already used all my time off. Right? How am I going to get paid? And then real life starts happening. You name it. Dishwasher broke, garage door opener, printer, disposal was leaking, trying to fix the parts myself, trying to be of some use, and nothing's working. Go to finally get a part from Home Depot, and my Escalade breaks down while it's sleeting, rolling into Home Depot. Like, fuck. That wound up being not as big a deal as I thought it was, but still pain in the ass. The next day, the wife's like, I got to take Tyler to the pediatrician. And instead of being a good dad and being like, hi, bud, should I come along with? And shit on it or what? So I get out of rehab gung ho, and now shit's just falling apart. And instead of like the one time when Angela was like, got to take Tyler to the pediatrician, she had just got done bitching up to me about finding somebody to fix something. And so I'm in dad mode, or Mr. Fix It mode, instead of being dad, right? Just go real quick. I'm just going to feel productive. I feel like a loser piece of shit that can't get anything fixed right now, right? And it wasn't 2 minutes before after she was gone, and I'm off to the store. And I remember thinking on the way, consequences only get worse. I'm okay, Daddy. Oh, okay. I'm glad you're okay. Like somebody we know has said many times, consequences only get progressively worse, right? And I remember even thinking that on the way, but also thinking, never gonna happen, right? Nobody's ever gonna know in this one. So apparently I drank a lot and then came home, talked to my therapist on Zoom, and then had a 3-hour IOP on Zoom, hammered. Don't really remember most of it. They knew. Get done with that, go back out to the store, because now I haven't drank in 4 hours and I'm itching, right? That brain, once you have one, you can't really turn it off. I make up some excuse to go to Walmart, pound 3 Johnny bootleggers, and on the way home, literally 10 seconds behind my house, I could have walked home. Uh, got popped again, third DUI. This time it's a felony. I've got 9 overall. 5 convictions, 4 firsts and 4 firsts and a third, for 2 not guilties and 2 no process. So I'd been going to AA for those 12 days that I had been out, and I had really started to to like AA. I felt I was doing the deal, and I even felt I was doing the deal before this massive relapse, and but I just wasn't connected. And when I was in jail this time, I asked Chappie for a Bible, and I actually found it and hung it up right back there. Signed my name, and I feel like I earnestly sought, and I had some prayers if there was a God, because I was a self-proclaimed atheist before then, and I said, look, this is what I need from you to prove. I said, if you think it's better for the world and my family that I stay in here, don't give me bail. If you do, let me out so I can take care of this stuff before I, got to face what's really coming. And I got bailed, and I continued on AA. I continued IOP as long as I had insurance, which wasn't very long because I did get fired like I thought I would a day, 2 days after I got out this time. So I had to start working for myself and working for my family to survive. And a lot of good people in sobriety took me around to meetings as I needed, uh, and really just, kept my spirits alive because I knew what I was facing, and I was doing it sober, and I wanted to do it sober because I knew I was going to do some time. And I, I promised my higher power that I would believe in him every day since that day, and I did. And everything so far has it's not always been easy, but it's been well worth it. Because there was definitely some times where I'm sitting in that cell, especially the first couple weeks you're in quarantine and you got nothing. And I was able to be grateful for the view that I had being on the 5th floor, and just all the promises just coming true, the way everything worked out between the timing of going to jail, the timing of wife and child going to be out of the country for half the time that I'm in jail. Just it all working out, and that's strictly because of the program and maintaining my sobriety, right? Because I'm the kind of person that, like, I get what I want. I've always gotten whatever I want. I've just always wanted the wrong things, like, I don't miss my targets. I just don't have the best aim all the time, right? Um, but you would have told me 20 years ago, and I'm sure many people that did, I just didn't really have like anybody to go through with me and explain exactly how it meant, um, how it was supposed to be in AA. It's because of the compulsion that I had from before. This time it was just just like my higher power. It's earnestly sought, right? I was going to meetings because I wanted to go there. I wanted to talk. I wanted to see if anybody could relate to my story, which, there's definitely a couple of times where I'm like, I don't want to go to this fucking meeting. And I wind up going, and, there's a 24-year-old who's shitting his pants because he's got his third DUI, and he ain't like me. I might I come from a little bit of a harder neighborhood than this kid, you know what I mean? And he was shitting his pants. So I'm like, I didn't want to come. Well, look at this miracle right here. I came for a reason. It was at the very end of a meeting. Um, but no, it's truly a blessing. Everybody that I've met, that I can share some of my dirty laundry with. I'm a pretty transparent guy, but there's still only a couple of people that know the whole thing. But uh, I just celebrated a year a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and that's the longest I've ever been. So it it may not always be fun, but it will work. Yeah. I don't know if I have any more words of wisdom on the topic at the moment in our time constraints, but if you ever want the 10-hour version, there's I got lots of stories. If you want real war, I could tell you about St. Louis.
Where can everybody find you?
You can follow Instagram, David James Fit. I think it's DJW5.5 on Facebook. I've got a couple of things I got going on as well. I got another Instagram and might start something up called Burpees Anonymous. I got a YouTube called Whatever It Takes, and I'm slowly putting things together and figuring out where we want to go from here. It's I've been afforded the opportunity to make business work for myself instead of having to go the W-2 route. So I'm going to try a little bit of everything until I have to maybe go back and do the W-2 thing, which I don't want to do because, well, they fucked me. They didn't fuck me. I deserved to get fired. I'm resentful at the way the termination letter was worded. Yeah.
Nobody on this that you're talking to in the audience cares.
Oh, I'm talking to you right now.
No, you're still being recorded.
Wow.
You gotta fucking wrap it up.
Oh, well, I just said I don't know what else to go with that. You should have taken the cue and cut it.
You gotta say, okay, thanks. Thanks for having me.
I don't know how you're doing this, man.
Thanks for having me on.
Now I feel like an 18-year-old with blue lights and black lights everywhere.